Oh my God, no. I like Fit Aid, but this peach mandarin, that's not really for me. But let me get one more sip. Oh, good lord, good lord, that does it. But I ran. I need my electrolytes, and from what people have told me, I mean this also says clean caffeine. So hey, when in doubt, throw it out. But I'm gonna take one more sip actually. Anyways, the point. What's the point of this? What am I even doing? Today's March 19th. Why is that important? Why is that important? March 19th. It is the first day of spring, according to my calendar. Who decides this? It's, I mean, just like everything, I imagine it's the government. Or it is just the way the world works these days. The first day of spring could fall on Easter, could fall anywhere in March, anywhere in April. But today falls on March 19th, and March 19th is a cool day because it's Bruce Willis's birthday. It's Theo Vaughn's birthday. And it's also my birthday. Yes, this is what I decided to do with my time on my birthday. But this is something I've always wanted to do is just at least try it once. And I guess there's no better excuse than doing it on my birthday. I don't know if I will ever continue to do this again of a solo episode, or maybe I'll just do it once a year for my birthday and just kind of see what I've done in the past year. And that's kind of what all the stuff was going to go over. But if this is your first time tuning into my podcast, this is Create to Connect, where I believe everybody is creative and I value creativity and connection. And I always pointed to my passion, which is music. But I decided to kind of make a platform and just be able to speak to creatives. But in this sense, no. Since I'm going to be speaking to myself, to you, to whoever. Shout out to Fit Aid. I'm going to sip. Oh God, it's not good. Okay, but that was another thing. I mean, it's another year around the sun. Birthdays are also weird. I've never really been a birthday person. I mean, I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have the childhood that I have to experience fun birthday parties growing up and the memorable stuff of going to, well, I mean, the Jupiter Bowling Alley is now seems like a nightclub, but doing bowling alley parties and whatnot. But I feel like birthdays the parents should be more celebrated because I mean I didn't really do anything. I was just here. I was born, but I'm gonna decide to do something today, which is just kind of talk about the past year, talk about what I'm trying to do, what I want to do with this podcast, and just kind of just talk about random stuff. But most importantly, I got some new gear that I kind of want to test out. So yeah, I made it. I made my little birthday purchase and got the FX3. That's what this is being filmed on camera one. And there's camera two right there. So I'm also just trying to experiment some new stuff. And then I got the Sony XLR K3M for audio quality to share my initial impressions straight to the camera. I am trying to think smarter, not harder. Fit 8 sip. Not good, but that's the point. But I got my little note section here that I'm trying to just follow along, and I don't even know if I'm going to release this. No, I'm going to. I'm going to release this because it's the whole reason why I kind of started doing podcasting is one, I've had clients and people ask me about the whole podcast space and how they can get involved. And the best way for me to learn is just to put myself into that environment. And another sense is because I always feel like, I don't know, I grew up with a speech impediment. I have a speech impediment, and it's turned into just me fumbling over certain words and just sometimes just, I don't know if it's getting overloaded the way I think, where it comes out where I'm either just trying to have filler words, say like too much, or just fumble over my words. I'm trying to just be able to articulate my thoughts a little bit more, stand a little bit taller, speak a little bit clearer, slow down. It's all good, Fitty. All right, that's the last time I'm going to do that unless I actually need it. But so that's kind of why I decided to put myself in this podcast space. And another sense too, every year I always try to reach a goal and release something original. One year I remember I released a song every month along with a music video too. So if it's not an audio or a visual representation. Another year, I did the book, the 111 Palm Beach book with Crystal. And there's been another year where I released another record. And last year, I had all these plans to do a bunch of stuff. And of course, time waits for nobody. And the year ended. I wasn't able to release anything on the visual side and the audio side of what I wanted to do. I think I started this podcast in 2022, not 2023. So, yeah, last year I wouldn't really call it a fluke, but it also wasn't, I didn't reach my goals. And for a little bit, I felt that was crippling to me. It's something that I want to do. I put all this pressure on myself to perform and act and be a certain way in front of everybody. And when it comes to me just being by myself and when it comes to all the things that I have going on around in my life, it just kind of weighs on me a little bit more of that. There's certain things I'm not doing that I want to be doing. So if it's something as dumb as me doing a solo podcast episode, then I can look back and be like, you know what? I did that. I did that for myself. And cheers to that, people. I'm not going to do this aggressive. Cheers to that. Just kidding. I'm sorry if you're listening. And I don't even know how this sounds. So that's another thing, too. I'm really doing this to kind of test out some audio gear, some troubleshoot some stuff, too. But there are a few things I kind of want to just, I guess, just, I'm trying not to cuss. Trying not to cuss. So I'm going to give myself 3 curse words this time. But there's things I want to kind of go over and just talk about, even just looking back at my birthday year. I mean, oh my God, being 28 to now 29, things that I've done differently from that year that I've rolled over into my new year of being 29. There's a lot of things I've done. I mean, people who know me close and dear to my heart, there's been a lot of lifestyle changes I've done in the last 6 years, 7 years. And it's not something that you can just easily make a switch and then be like you're clear. It's not like a little light switch where it's like you turn it on, you turn it off. It's these lifestyle changes are something that you have to really kind of constantly work on and adapt and just be able to live with. And I know I'm kind of talking in a freaking riddle here, but a lot of it was just not deciding to drink and just putting that on the back burner. I always viewed myself as kind of not really not giving into peer pressure, but just kind of like mentally weak at some times too. And I feel like there's a lot of distractions in certain relationships in my life. And then that was one of them too. So I just kind of put that off to the side. And I think I'm going to go on 6 years without drinking. So, I mean, that's why I tell people I stop. I didn't quit because that's something I want to have for myself. And it's not something for somebody else. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But I feel like saying like I quit is a very overwhelming statement. Compared to I decided to stop, and if I'm going to continue, I don't know. But all I know is I'm taking it day by day. And another thing is there's few answers I give to people when they ask me, like, why? Did you have a problem? The only problem I had was with myself, if I'm being real. So that was kind of another thing where I'm like, there's obviously something going on here. So let me see if I can make some lifestyle changes, and that being one of them. And these are just how you got to I view things, at least with just having like, what relationship do you want to have? What relationship do you want to have with alcohol? What relationship do you want to have with your passion? What relationship you want to have with your work life? What relationship do you want to have with like your partner? What kind of relationship you want to have with your partner? What relationship do you want to have with media? So it's all up to kind of the discretion of the person, but without kind of talking in a very sour down attitude. It's my birthday, dude. Freaking cheers. So that, Fit Aid, peach, mandarin. Isn't Mandarin Chinese? Shout out to my wife. Cantonese, Chinese, peach, mandarin, Fit Aid. Okay. But things I have taken from last year to this year, though, I mean, talking about the lifestyle change is one, but another is there's stuff that it's so easy. It's easier to just be sad, and I feel like it's easy to kind of just feed yourself negative thoughts too, and being the whole comparison game. The comparison is the thief of joy, whatever the people like to say. But when I feel like I'm getting that way, I shared it on Instagram too. That I like to have this list in my notes section of my phone of just what I'm thankful for, and if I feel like that, even right here, I'll probably write something down on the list because trying to set this whole thing up, I was getting mad. I was like, why isn't this working? I don't even know if this audio is going to sound any good. This fucking mic stands kind of sucks. And all these like things I can just easily complain and bitch over, but you know what? I mean, I have the opportunity to I have four walls around me. I have a roof over my head. I have so much more to be thankful for. I have this opportunity to get to do this. I'm deciding to do this too. I have way more to be grateful for and thankful for than not. So, feeling like I'm getting in this attitude, I made a list for myself, and every time I feel this certain way, I don't know, it's a level of awareness I have that I just put it in my notes. I'm thankful for being alive today. I'm thankful for being able to run with my 2 feet. As stupid and silly as kind of the list is, it's just something for me to kind of look back. And the more you stack it, you kind of look back and it's just something nice to read. But that's something I think I started doing it like around last year. And the list is building pretty well. There's a lot on that list. I'm thankful for my wife for making me good dinners. I'm thankful for my parents. I'm thankful for my relationship with my family. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be playing music and doing what I love. I mean, everything I've ever wanted when I was 15. I've always wanted just have something simple. I mean, it's nothing really too complicated. I really have a passion for the work and the ethic of the work. And what I like to do with that work is through my passion, which is music. And how I do that is through creativity and connecting with people. Music, and then being with my girlfriend since I was 15. And now we're married. And I'm still playing music. I'm still having my ideas. I try to keep it simple. But anyways, that list has helped me a lot. Another thing that I want to talk about what I've done in the past year. What is it? I started running a little bit. Times are tough, so I budget cut the gym membership a bit, and I've been kind of trying to experiment with just different ways to exercise. I don't know if it's out of pure boredom or what, or just being cooped up in a room working so much too. But also, it's kind of like free therapy in a sense too. But I started running without headphones, and that was kind of a really tough challenge in the beginning, but I don't know about you guys or you or whoever I'm speaking to at the moment, but just the stimulation of social media, the stimulation of being around so many people and living a fast-paced lifestyle. I mean, especially in the area that we live in, there's so much always going on. And sometimes when you're by yourself, at least with me, just the brain doesn't stop. The brain doesn't stop. I always have trouble sleeping sometimes. I think one of my fancy lights just went out, but so running some physical form of long form exercise has helped me so much. If there's an idea that I'm working on for a client, or if I'm doing a collaboration with somebody, and it has helped me so much just to get out and run. And shout out to my Garmin watch, and that's what I did this morning too. I feel like, and that's the thing with doing this whole podcast solo space, or even just being in front of the camera and speaking. I used to do this a lot, and I would have to just force myself to do it, and the energy wasn't there. I don't know if I was trying to just be too cool for the camera, or I don't know what it was, but a lot of it was like the headspace, and then that turned into just a bunch of excuses for me, and then I would be on a good pattern of being consistent doing this, and then eventually not. Or if I would have little things like even like this backdrop that I decided to pick in this corner of this room, even this side camera that I can see is a little bit tilted. All these things bother me, but I mean, action beats anything. So, anyways, all these crazy thoughts. I don't even know the f I'm talking about. Hold on, sip. I don't know what I'm talking about, but all these things that kind of bottle up in my brain. What's helped me is just exercise, but recently running. I played soccer through high school, and it's running just sucked, but being able to play the game, didn't realize what I was doing by running, and kind of that being a nice distraction. But I guess you get older, there's a lot of things going on in the world and then your own life, and you gotta have moments for yourself. And that's another thing too. There's things like I'm trying to do for myself that not necessarily will be fun, exciting, and great, but I know will benefit me more in the long run. And that's a long run. Get it? Okay, that's not funny at all. But that's something I figured out to do. And if it was just as short as just like a mile, I started running during COVID when everything was shut down. But then it was like these fun little achievements to kind of get where like 1 mile, my pace was this, and that. And then my point being back to Garmin, shout out to Garmin, the watch. Um, I'm able to not have my phone with me, track my run, and just go, which has been the best thing ever. And shout out to my hero, my little brother, who's kind of turned me on to this and turned me on to this discipline, because motivation's so funny, because you could be motivation comes in waves. Even being motivated to do this freaking thing of something I wanted to do, but you can't be motivated if you don't have any discipline. And that's just my opinion. One holds a little bit more weight than the other. Again, I know I'm not really making sense. I'm trying my best here. And that's another thing too about just the whole solo podcast episode of doing this. It's pretty cringy. It's pretty rough. I know my sister being one person who says, she's like, I get secondhand embarrassment when you do stuff in public. I'm like, what do you mean? And I play music, so I mean, even her coming out with my brother-in-law to just kind of see me come play, but there'll be times in between where I'm just say something dumb on the mic, and I could just see her just cringing in the back, and it's and I get it. I get it. I'm the little brother. I also get where it's just kind of like, oh, it's kind of could be a lot sometimes, and I don't even know what I'm saying half the time. So that's also can be pretty cringy. So it's I understand that, and it's really hard to kind of look at the camera sometimes. That level of eye contact is tough. But again, back to the roundabout. I'm trying to get better. There's things I admit that I'm flawed with, and I'm really trying to work on it. And maybe this caffeine is actually working. Shout out to Fit Aid. Get yourself fit. Get yourself aid. I mean, Fit Aid. I don't know. I'm usually better at that, but so I love working in branding. It's fun. Yeah, running without headphones. That's something I did last year, and I'll still kind of bring into this new year. Has been great. Something that I am trying to do, something I have done is just, I guess, stand up for myself a little bit more, and it's kind of hard because I try to be kind first. I really discipline myself so much to be nice and not try to react, but always try to bring solutions to problems that are facing me. But sometimes I think this is definitely a quote from somewhere, that I feel like my kindness can be mistaken as weakness. And sometimes I just kind of agree to just almost not have the confrontation to deal with it. I wouldn't say I'm an unconfrontational person, but it's more of like, this problem's not even worth my time sort of thing. Whatever, go about your day. But there's a couple things that, as a solo musician gigging out, and just kind of playing outside, almost like a busking style, or kind of people come up and give you tips. Two things that just have always just, I don't know if it's irked. I don't know if I'm just like, I question it. I wouldn't do it. One is just dropping a bunch of quarters into the tip bucket as I'm playing, and like they wave, like, here you go, like I'm some damn wishing fountain. Are you making a wish? That's what I don't understand. And then I'm like, sometimes like I feel like they're nearby, I like will lean over. I'm like, no, it's okay. Like I try to be nice. I'm like, yeah, you can keep your change, keep your quarters. I'm good. It gets all over the place when I pick it up. It's because I have a little wooden tip case and got some hole. I'm like, it's fine. And they're like, what? You don't want money? And I'm like, it's 75 cents, ma'am. I'm fine. I'm okay with it. And then they look at me weird. I'm still on a microphone playing, and then in my head, I'm like, was I a dick? Was that too much? I just don't want your quarters. Maybe I do want quarters. Depends on the quarters. But then I think again another thing too. There's other perspective where it's like, am I really complaining that someone's tipping me? But I mean, and then that leads me to my other thing. I I don't know. Some people will immediately come up to my tip case and just put both their hands in the money that's visible to them and start rifling through it. And then I lean over as I'm playing. I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like, what are you doing? And they look at me and they're like, don't worry, I'm making change. Like, for yourself? And then they say, no, I'm making change to tip you. I'm sorry, I'm moving this mic. I don't know if that's cutting through or not, but they're like, I'm making change to tip you. And it's usually they're breaking a $5 bill and giving me $1, and then they're keeping the $4. That's been like really common occurrence. So I don't know. I felt like a certain way about it, and just kind of I feel different. So I kind of brought it up, and like it's a couple different ways. I just say, can you not? And then they're like, what do you mean? You don't want me to tip you? And then sometimes I'll just be like, well, I mean, you can do that at the bar, or you can do that inside. I'm kind of in the middle of playing, and I'm by myself playing, so I'm having a full conversation with this person as I'm trying to sing and play. And then they get offended that I'm like turning down their money. It's another sense too. And then another time I did where someone's like, oh, I'm making change. And then it's like, am I not worth $5 to you? Do you really think that much I'm a starving artist? And then even yesterday, some guy came up to me. He's like, have you ever been tipped this big before? And I was like, $10. I said, yes. And then he called me a starving artist. And then I'm like, yeah, cheers to that. I know it's stupid. It's really stupid. I can't believe I'm complaining about it, but it's something I've thought about. I don't know why I felt a certain way. I don't know. I mean, if anybody's even listening to this and you're a musician or even in the service industry, if there's some stuff that's just like, I don't know, I feel a certain way about it. Maybe I don't feel a certain way about it. It's just stuff like that where like, I don't know, if I tip a musician, maybe if I have like a $50 bill, $100 bill or something, if I want to give the musician like $10 or whatever, I mean, maybe I'm feeling good and just give them right that 100, but I don't know. I wouldn't go up to them and be like, hey, can you break this for me? I'd kind of go to the bar that I'm at, or I would ask a person next, I'm like, hey, can you break this? Or I'll try to find their Venmo. I don't know. Also, I wouldn't like do the change thing, but I guess people do that too when they're like buying coffee and then they kind of get like their $4.29 back, and they kind of throw the 29 cents in the change thing and do that. But I don't know. I mean, this is so dumb for me to even kind of explain. I might even cut it because I just like even saying this kind of sounds like I'm just not really grateful, and I am. That's another thing too. So ping pong in my head, back and forth, back and forth. What else? What else? What else? What else? Oh, I mean, last year, so birthday's on March 19th. And then, yeah, I went to Vegas for the first time. Yeah. A man who doesn't drink and sucks at gambling went to Vegas. And I had an awesome time. We went for a wedding. My wife's best friend, Kaylee, and Chad got married. And they spoiled us. It was great. That was an awesome experience. And it was just something that I think about a lot, too, of just being like, I don't know, I have such a certain thing with weddings where I get invited to a wedding and I'm like, oh man, I gotta go to a wedding now. I gotta schedule it. But I love the people and I love love. I love celebrating love. But I don't know if it's like a social anxiety thing, or I don't know if it's just like all the games I play in my head. But then you kind of I have like this little moment with myself. But then I get there and I'm like, this is beautiful. And the fact that I was asked to be here, and then just looking around and then there's a group of people, and I think of like the bigger picture, like all these people are here with their time to support this couple, this love. And seeing that in Vegas was just a very picture perfect moment for Kaylee and Chad, which I thought was just so freaking cool. Just even, I mean, if it's not work related, Vegas wouldn't really be something I would just initially go to. I suck at gambling. I lost all my money in like 2 moves, and I'm like, how the frick do people do this? And also, I don't really drink, so the level of awareness and people watching was pretty fun too. Walking up and down the strip. I don't know what's it called. Some people came up and they're like, "You want cocaine?" And Tia was like, "Did they offer us a bouquet?" No, they offered us cocaine. Oh, Fit Aid. Finally, get your Fit Aid. I don't know. I'm working on it. Tagline. I don't know what can be a tagline for Fit Aid. Okay. That was fun. I did some cool work trip stuff. My business has been subcontracted a lot with marketing agencies. Shout me out marketing. Shout me out. Shout me out marketing. And doing all like the creative directing, some of like the actual content, coming up with some ideas. So we got to go to Long Island, New York, which is really cool. And I liked it a lot. It put a better taste in my mouth. Pause. It put a better perspective of just New York and people. It's so easy sometimes just to have just that one thought and just dismiss everything else. It's very. I mean, I know. I mean, if you're Floridian, I know what you're thinking when you're driving around. You're just cruising, and then you get cut off by someone in New York, and you're like, oh my god. But it's the people up there were so welcoming, nice, really ball busting on my part, I deserve it. I remember I was asking one guy. I don't realize how much of a hippie I am until I opened my mouth, and when I was asking one guy, I'm like, oh yeah, do you have like local coffee? I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm like, yeah, and then he's like, oh yeah, the kitchen. I can't do a New York accent. I can do any accent. He's like, the kitchen. And I'm like, thinking the kitchen's a real place. I'm thinking this very kind of like the Bear aesthetic, but for a coffee shop in Long Island. I'm getting stoked. I'm like, where's the kitchen? He walks down the hallway, points to the break room. He's like, there's the kitchen. They all start laughing at me. I'm like, all right, that's well deserved. But being able to travel for the work stuff has been very good, and some opportunities, and being able to just collaborate with people, which I love, because that's what it's about: creativity and connection, and that's kind of what this podcast is about. But that's 28. Did that. What else? What else did happened? I mean, a ton of stuff happened, and a ton of stuff continues to happen, with it all, with everything. But that's kind of why, that's why I want to kind of hop on and do like a solo podcast. And I think I've already said that. So at this point, I might be rambling. This might be me closing this out. I don't really know, but I mean, what I do know is that I am happier, I'm healthier, and I feel like I am a little bit more empathetic and thoughtful, and other buzzwords that kind of are very riddle like. But no, seriously, from turning 29, I feel like I'm in a happier and healthier place with my mind, my body, my soul, and my relationships with people compared to when I was 23. I don't know if it's just the maturity. I don't know if it's just growing up. I mean, I just know that some people all like to say like, oh, I mean, back in my prime, back in my peak, this and that. But I mean, what I was doing when I was like 23, I was like really into powerlifting, and just chasing numbers. And I was just more just like very blinders on. My dad would always kind of say, it's like, you see the world like this. You got to see it like this. That'll happen to you one day. And he might be right. But you didn't hear that from me. Sip. Oh, that was not good. Peach Mandarin. Fit Aid. I love Fit Aid. Don't get me wrong. I remember doing CrossFit with somebody, and I was very, very depleted at the end of the workout, and they gave me a Fit Aid and like, drink this. And I'm like, why? I don't drink soda, because I heard that, and like, it's not soda, it's a recovery drink. I'm like, okay. So I sipped it, and I'm like, this. Ooh, I got an email. Okay, that's distracting. drink this. I drank it, and I felt very good after. It was very quenching. But besides the point of that, Fit Aid, yeah, great. Sponsored podcast, who knows? Shouldn't even have said that, because where's the direction this is going to go? I want to keep doing this. I want to have more guests. I have a ton of guests. I have everybody who have just tickled my fancy. I've always brought it up to them like, hey, I have a podcast. I'd love you to be on. I just like talking and connecting with people. I feel like I have very interesting conversations with a lot of people in different industries. And I truly believe everybody is creative if they allow themselves to be. And speaking of that, I remember this is actually something I'm pretty proud of. Last year, the year being 28, my wife, I remember she was saying, she's like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but she said something along the lines of, she's like, I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm getting dumber. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more illiterate. And she's like, I used to read all the time. What happened? And then flash forward, she bought a couple books and just been on this reading rampage. I think she read 42 books last year. And I'm like, I haven't even read a single book since like the 4th grade. I don't even know how I got through school. Actually, yes, I did. Shout out to all of my friends who've helped me and my wife. But I'm like one book. Oh man, I gotta pause this. I've got to pause this. Gotta take an intermission. I've got some duty calls. Be right back. Oh yeah. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, book. Read a book last year. Inspired by my wife to keep reading. Or even read at all. Was The Creative Act, The Way of Being, Rick Rubin's book. If you don't know who Rick Rubin's book or Rick Rubin is, you should. Get out of the rock you're living under. That was aggressive. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, I read Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being, and that was quite the eye opener for me as a creative and an artist too. It's and I recommend that to anybody who is just an artist, a creative, anyone who just has fast going thoughts too. It's helped me a lot to just kind of organize and feed the right seeds and water the right plants, as lame as that analogy is. I remember there's a couple sections too of that book that talk about being an artist and creating something and putting it out, and that whole maybe fear of judgment scenario. Oh, the Fit Aid, it's really hitting me hard now. It's putting something out, having this fear of judgment and of what other people are going to think, how it's going to be received. And if I'm probably misquoting the book, but the book kind of talking about that's not really the point, and almost to kind of change your perspective on creativity and art. And I'm sorry, I'm hearing lots of noises, and I know it's not in my head. What is that? Do you hear that? I don't know what it is. Anyways, the Creative Act, The Way of Being, has taught me to kind of be a little bit more of a channel-focused artist and creative person. It has helped me a ton, really just kind of take out the BS that's in my head and move forward with something. But I can talk about the book for a long time, and I've actually brought that book up in previous episodes of the podcast too. And it's something that I'm trying to actually bring into this new year of being 29. It's just to kind of keep reading, even if it's just one book a year. I'm happy with this. The book I'm trying to read right now is called Relentless by Tim Grover. And it kind of talks about this concept of what it means to be a cleaner. Someone like Michael Jordan is a cleaner. Someone in the business world is like Steve Jobs, who's a cleaner. I'm still reading the book. So, but with all that being said, what else do I talk about? March 19th, it's my birthday. What do I do to plan for the rest of the day? What do I plan to do for the rest of the day? I don't know, but that's what I was going to do. Oh yeah, shout out to Fit Aid. Peach mandarin. I if I decide to do a solo episode again or something like this, um, I do want to kind of give a shout out to just like photographers and just a photographer and a musician, since that's what I do. I do audio and I do visual arts. Um, Photographer, single fin on Instagram. His name's Rich. I met him actually. I was at a coffee shop, and I don't know. Sometimes at being a photographer and also being just again overstimulated with just so much going around too, it's sometimes to be stopped in my tracks to actually take a moment to look at something that really catches my attention. I noticed that about me more than anything else. Where I'm like, so I walked in this coffee shop with my buddy Wes. I was looking at all these prints that are on the wall. I'm like, these are phenomenal. And I'm looking around, pretty cool, pretty cool. And then shout out to my buddy Wes. He was kind of talking me up. He's like, oh yeah, this is Jacob, he photographer, musician, this, that. And the guy I was talking to, and he seemed like a musician. And then we kind of talked about that a little bit, and then kind of moved on. And then I asked him for his Instagram, followed his Instagram, and come to full circle that those prints were his, and he saw me looking at it, didn't really say anything. Maybe he didn't see me looking at it, but I was just kind of like blown away just how he was pretty modest, just standing over there. But again, that was such a long time ago. I'm probably even butchering the story of my own memory, but anyways, if you guys want to follow like a really dope photographer who's covered everything from UFC events, sporting events, and just really has a good eye for the South Florida beauty that we are living in, is Single Fin. Yeah, no one does it like him, in my opinion, for what I'm looking at him. He's just incredible. And then shouting out to a musician. I want to shout out an art. I want to shout out a visual artist and then an audio artist. Shout out to Joey Caldereo, man. He just did Reggae Rise Up. He's freaking killing it. I just did a collaboration with him on Stick Season, a little reggae cover. Our little twist on it. He calls it 311 meets Willie Nelson. I guess I'm the Willie Nelson character in that relationship. But no, Joey's the fucking man. He, back when we're like 15, 16, playing music, we're like one of the first people to play music with each other, starting a band, kind of doing our own thing, going our own ways, and still kind of showing love and support to each other. I remember he's just been murdering it, but the song Stick Season by Noah Khan, I texted him. I'm like, hey, you would cover this. You would do it phenomenal. It'd be great. I feel like the melody is good. I feel like you doing your own twist would be really cool. And then he just offered. He's like, you want to do it with me? I'm like, sure. And the response on that has been something I just didn't really expect. And that's something that's been really just I've really appreciate a lot. One, just the trust that in the relationship that Joey and I have. So being able to kind of like go into it, I'm like, hey, let's do this idea. I told him like I'm gonna let you handle all the audio side when it comes to like the arrangement, the production. I'm like, you just tell me what to do, where my ideas fit, and I'm gonna let you kind of have the last say with it. And then coming to the visual side, where I kind of just did all the pre-production, kind of scoped out the whole idea of the music video, and then he gave me with that trust, and it just became like this beautiful piece of art that was received really well. It was just a simple reggae cover that we had fun with, and just the response. I think it's like 10,000 streams on Spotify. But I mean, besides the numbers or not, but just the people that have texted me. I don't know about Joey, but people have reached out to me, maybe because I put my hair in braids. Shout out again to my stylist, my wife. It was just a very cool, good feeling that I'm getting a phone call. No, I'm no. I'm gonna answer this. Hello?
Hello.
How's it going?
This is Valentina. How are you doing today?
Valentina.
This call is about
What?
New low-cost final expense
Hello?
program.
Valentina?
Which is designed to cover 100%
Hello?
of your funeral, burial,
What?
or cremation expenses.
Valentina?
How old are you?
Hello? Valentina? I'm 29. Today's my birthday.
Final Expense Department, this is Jason. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
I thought I was speaking to Valentine.
Well, Valentine's job is just done. She just transferred over to me to provide you the further quotes about the life insurance policy.
Can I speak? Can I speak?
How old are you?
Can I speak to Can I speak to Valentine? I was talking to her. Who are you?
No, she's a robot.
What, a robot?
That's right.
I thought she was a real person.
So, well, would you like?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
No, she's a robot.
Wait a minute. So, you had a robot named Valentina call me, and then you come in after? I kind of feel like that's not really trustworthy and honest. He hung up. He hung up. But anyways, with Joey, yeah, the response has been good. It's been great, and that's kind of something I want to do for this new year. The goals I have, besides for the art and visual, for the audio and the visual, audio for my band. I want to get the band back up to speed. I want to be doing shows again. I want to put that album out. I got a 12-song album concept that I'm very happy and stoked over. I want to kind of keep doing these collaborations if it's going to be with Joey, because we have some things cooking just from the response has been awesome. But I also have just like collaborating with some different artists, or even just collaborating through like a podcast means. And then visually with just kind of the photography side, I have a really strong idea of doing like a photo book of my own that I really wanted to kind of start last year, but of course, time and budget permitting. And then also just, I mean, what I did last year with Shout Me Out Marketing was just a very sweet collaborative effort that me being able to do what I do and see it being recognized from somewhere else and asked to come in. It was it's something that I always try to put forward as the work, just what the work is able to represent for itself. I always try to kind of put my personality a little bit to the side, and it's because I don't want it to be a distraction, I guess. And I guess that's why I'm so hesitant sometimes to even just speak freely into a camera like this, or even to just sip it. Oh man, to do stuff like that. Because I don't know. I have all these kind of pre-notions sometimes. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I feel like these pre-thoughts in my head of like, if I say this or do this, if it's going to be perceived or taken out of context in this way. But I feel like if you're able to communicate your ideas and your thoughts and your actions, and if you're able to communicate your feelings and your ideas in a certain way that's very clear and concise and respectful, I don't really think you should have too much of a problem. And also, you can't control what other people think and do. People are going to judge you regardless. I know I'm going to be judged for drinking this peach mandarini. But again, those are goals. Those are things I want to kind of keep doing and bring over to this new age, this new year. But I'm happier and healthier than I've ever thought I was going to be. And again, so two people I want to shout out. Single Fin on Instagram, Joey Caldereo. Check those people out. Beautiful humans, beautiful artists. And how do I close this out? Just like with all, and then also just the podcast. What I want to keep doing is this. And when I started, I just want to kind of do it for myself. So even if I just record one episode a month or one episode every other month, it's not going to be I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself when it comes to that. But one thing I like to do at the end is just one big takeaway. And I guess the big takeaway from this episode, if someone listened to it from A to Z, is drink Fit Aid. Drink this Fit. No, I'm not going to say that. One major takeaway is I don't even know what I've spoke about this whole time. I guess one major takeaway is to try to put something original out this year. If anybody's listening to this part of it, if it's just your own voice, if it's just something that's off the beaten path. If it's a video on Instagram or social media of you just saying something to the camera, saying Happy Monday or whatever, or if it's just whatever idea, because I really do believe that our ideas can identify ourselves pretty well. So one takeaway is just to put something out original that you feel like represents yourself that you can be proud of. And I guess that's it. So, and I'll probably I'll keep doing this, but the solo ones I might do them from when I turn 30. My head might be even shaved at that point. Who knows? But all I know is that I'm gonna go. I'm gonna end this. But thank you. Oh yeah, cheers! Happy birthday to me.